Alright. So, 9.2. Already been a lot of people looking at this, but I decided why not take a look and give my thoughts on it. I might not be like Scripe or Max, which are, well, first raters, might not be like Preach that have played this game for 17 years. But I can at least look at it from a game designer's perspective and give my thoughts around the decisions that has been done on Blizzard's end. So I'm thinking to just start off with a video, then go through the post underneath and a Gamer Braves interview with Steve Denuser and Morgan Day. And yeah, see what we can find.
The Shadowlands story pulls together threads that started in Warcraft 3 and wove their way through many of our expansions. We approached it like a drama in 3 acts. Now, as the third and final act begins of the saga, we need to stop the jailer from reaching his ultimate goal, which is to rewrite the rules of reality. Eternity's End serves as the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga. The jailer has the advantage. He has seized the sigils of the leaders of the Four Covenants.
We see Sylvanas realize that she's been a pawn in the jailer's game this entire time, and she refuses to serve him, and she's taken prisoner.
The jailer is able to open a portal to who knows where, taking Anduin with him.
And the Primus had us take some time to retrieve some new sigils.
Now we have gathered our forces. We are working with the Primus to open our own gateway to pursue the jailer to this realm unlike any we've seen before.
The Primus opens a portal, and we come into this alien land. It's completely white, foggy. We're walking on water for some reason.
They can only make out some shapes, some figures there, some crazy devices and consoles.
Eventually, you make your way to a giant gate, and behind it lies Zereth Mortis.
Zereth Mortis was created by the first ones, and it is intended to create afterlives.
Think of it as being tucked away in the fabric of the Shadowlands itself. It's kind of the behind the scenes of these afterlives that we've journeyed to.
It's the land where
So it's creating afterlives, but the Shadowlands is supposed to be the afterlife. Or is it that if you die in Shadowlands, you get teleported to another afterlife after that? Or is it that it keeps creating more afterlives because, well, the universe of World of Warcraft, there are several different dimensions and all that, and everything belongs under the same first ones? Possibly?
the progenitors, the first ones who created all of the realms of the Shadowlands. This is their workshop.
They've created everything we've experienced in Azeroth and Shadowlands and even realms we haven't discovered yet.
These first ones built the universe as far as we know, but their intentions or methods are completely unknown.
But of course, the Jailer's presence here is disrupting this process, and we're working to push back against the Jailer's forces and protect this place.
I think the artists have done a fantastic job, and I know they did a lot of research and they looked at a lot of real-life examples of very strange places in the real world.
As a team, we were really trying to make this place as alien as possible, so we really wanted to make everything feel completely unique and completely different. Our trees here are floating, we have stones that are floating, we even have the massive Forge of Afterlives that is floating in the center of the zone.
And true to its name, it's something that is kind of putting together a new afterlife to be sent out into the Shadowlands.
We have this water all around you because water is really the catalyst for any kind of creation.
It's actually unlike any other water that we've seen before. This is actually water that we can walk on. It almost creates like a threshold between Cerith Mortis and some other kind of more primordial space right below it. Everything you see in Cerith Mortis has a purpose, an intention behind it. For us, it was really important to find ways to convey that intention in the environment itself. And one of the ways in which we did it was through this duality between a lush and a dry biome. In the dry biome...
Okay. One thing that I'm thinking, like, listening to this, as I said, we have to fight and push the jailer back, like, stop his forces from messing up Cerith Mortis, and messing up the entire, like, afterlife creation. One thing that is very important there, that I've seen a ton of comments on from the community and like forums and everything, is that it hasn't been built up a reason for us to care about the area. The Covenant campaigns gives us a little bit of like reasoning to care for them, but take Legion, for example. There we were given a reason for why to fight the Burning Legion. They want to destroy Azeroth. We were given a reason in Argus to go into Antaurus, the Burning Throne, and fight. In BFA, I will say to a certain extent, we were given a reason, for example, as Horde, to fight for Zuldazar, to defend them from the Alliance. We were given a reason to go fight N'Zoth, even though it's not the best or the biggest reason. It's kind of almost like with Shadowlands. It's like, oh yeah, you come to this afterlife to catch Sylvanas and fight the jailer. Why? Why should we fight the jailer? Of course, he's a bad guy. He wanted to get free from the Maw, to get back his power and to go against the first ones, but to me that just sounds like an angsty teenager more than anything. So I still don't feel like we have a proper reason to fight him in a sense until like the end of Sanctum of Domination. That's first when I started getting the feeling of, oh shit, this guy's bad. This guy's not fooling around anymore. But they need to, when we get there, I hope the story actually gives us a reason to defend the place, not just, oh, you have to go there and defend it because you're the champion of Azeroth or the Mawwalk or something like that. I feel like they need to start giving us a reason to care. Be, like, story-wise, give us a reason to care.
Biome, we see perhaps what the original look of the zone was when the progenitors were first establishing this workspace for themselves. And in the lush biome, we see the result of their experimentation with plant life and fauna and things like that.
These are all test beds for what we'll eventually see elsewhere.
From there, we started thinking about what kinds of creatures would be in this place that are fundamentally prototypes. There's terraforming here. There's creatures that are building afterlives. We tried to really stretch and think what that might be like.
My personal favorite includes the giant armored snail, and we also have a progenitor chicken, which answers the question of what came first.
Knowing the internet, that is gonna get a lot of backlash, that comment, but I like it. I like the chicken.
These first ones who crafted Zereth Mortis, what they left behind were the Automa, meant to take care of the place and make sure that it fulfilled its function to create afterlives.
The Automa have several different classes, and you can see this in their silhouettes. We have the Builders, we have the Protectors, we have the Casters, and each one of them have a specific role within the Shadowlands. And then you'll also discover the Jiro, which are a part of the Automa. They're a little more quirky, they have a little more personality, they are a little more sentient than the other Automa, so some of them even split off to pursue their own desires.
Unfortunately, when we found our way in, Devourers also found their way in. They are ravenous.
They're consuming this weird energy, and it's causing them to mutate and to fall apart.
And the Automa, where they are confronted by them, some of them are fighting them off.
And so it's going to take some time for them to understand that we're here trying to help them drive out this threat.
I just don't hope we use the entire 9.2 to convince them that we're there to help. Because then again, that would not give us a reason to fight. That would just be somewhat annoying in a sense.
Fortunately, we've got some allies. There are some enlightened brokers here that we're going to be working with.
But it's a broker that arrived here quite a long time ago and has had a change of heart from looking at the world as a very transactional place to seeing this place as a holy place, a sacred place. We meet an enlightened one named Fareem, and Fareem needs our assistance, and in return he leads us to Haven,
which is a hub that has been created out of progenitor ruins, and this is where the Enlightened really have made their home.
Haven serves as our foothold here, as well as use it as a base of operations and really start unlocking the mysteries of this land.
The enlightened brokers are intent on protecting and preserving the work of the first ones here, but now they're seeing Zoval bring his forces against the Automa and tear up the land, and they are eager for assistance.
The brokers themselves are very ostentatious, they're very into materialism, but the Enlightened are not that at all. They have relinquished this material way, and you'll see this reflected in their clothes. They're a little tattered, they're a little faded, because it just isn't important to them anymore. They're just here for the pursuit of knowledge.
When players arrive, they're kind of fishes out of water. And one of the first things that we have to do is start learning how to communicate with the Automa. Think of it as a kind of runic language, based in symbols.
We will bond with a small construct who's pretty cute, actually. And with his assistance and the assistance of Fareem, we will learn eventually how to understand the symbols through the cipher of the first ones.
We'll uncover different parts of this alphabet and start to learn more about the progenitors and Zereth Mortis itself.
It will allow you to unlock new and different forms of content. So that can range from daily quests to new options on the vendors to places to explore and new side quests that open up. So
I really hope that is account-wide. The deciphering of the runes. If not, that is gonna be annoying for a lot of players. Having to go through that every single time, it's just like the Maw intro quest. It took them that long to introduce a skip, like... Me, for example, I've gone through with every single class, because I'm an altaholic. Every single class I've gone through the Maw intro questline. That is annoying as hell. The same with the Covenant campaign stuff, like going through the Covenant campaign stories every single time is annoying. So I really hope they made that account-wide. Not that you have to do that every single time on every single character.
So it's really the gateway to exploring the far reaches of Zereth Mortis.
As we looked into the development of Cypher of the First Ones, we wanted something that was unique that players haven't seen before. A little bit of familiarity, but something that takes that to the next level.
We really involved the whole team in this creative process. We worked with our UI team to be able to represent those through text, through these things talking and seeing them on screen in chat bubbles and in our chat window. Little by little, these kind of runes start taking shape into words that we recognize. But it's going to be a process that unfolds over the course of playing through Eternity's End. The Automa speak in this kind of musical.
If it's gonna go through, like, we're gonna unlock it as we play, I really hope it's not gonna be like the start of Shadowlands, where it's locked behind weekly resets. Like, drip feeding story, because people already dislike that from before. If they start doing that later on in the expansion, I'm sorry, but if they then lose even more players, they can't blame anything else than themselves. Like, drip feeding story, I've never been a fan of. Ever. It's not fun for the players. That's part of game design. You design a game for people to have fun and enjoy it. Drip feeding story is not fun. It's better to open up the entire story, let the people that want to take it slow, and the ones that decide to speed through, well, they decide to speed through. They are gonna complain that there's no story left to do, but that is kind of their own fault.
Language. They don't talk the way that we mortals are used to speaking. The sound team was super excited. They jumped in, they started prototyping all kinds of different sounds. We listened, we gave feedback, and we really ended up in a cool place. As you're playing through and gradually unlocking the language, you'll be able to see those words that they're saying, but still hear those tones. The jailer's true goal has never really been to escape the Maw or to gain power. He's been focused on reaching this place called the Sepulchre, to go into this place of power and to really rewrite the rules of the universe.
I will kind of disagree simply because of how the story has been told so far. The way they've told the story is that the jailer is in search of power to be able to get out of the Maw. He's been stealing the sigils of the others to gain that power, to unlock his own power. So he has been searching for power. So I will disagree a little bit there. And they really have to start making the story make sense on top of actually telling the story properly, because a lot of the videos I've seen and a lot of the comments that I've seen from other people is they have no idea what his deal is. There's even people that don't know his name is Soval. We're over half a year in. We're closing in on 1 year of this expansion and people still don't know his name. They have to step up the storytelling.
We'll learn that the jailer has breached the Sepulchre of the First Ones, and this becomes our new raid for Eternity's End. We're going to gather our forces, we're going to pursue the jailer inside. Once you go inside the Sepulchre, there's some mind-blowing visuals. This is a place that should not be able to exist according to the laws of physics as we know them on Azeroth. Just looking out into this impossible sky of seeing these ancient works of the First Ones, those laws don't apply to anything we see here.
Among the bosses that we're going to face in Sepulchre of the First Ones include the jailer's forces, maybe a dreadlord or two that you haven't tied up loose ends with. We'll face a consular. This is similar to a being like Algalon, but the jailer's gotten to it and has infused his domination magic into the consular. Before we get to the jailer, however, we need to get to Anduin first. Our hope is that we can learn whatever Anduin knows about domination magic. We need to be able to resist it, or better yet, fight it.
One thing I noticed when I was watching through this earlier, and that I heard like Max talk about in his video, is that he was wondering whether the area where Anduin is there is more of a first or second boss or second to last boss. What I've noticed is, considering the ring around him seems to be beaming out with like the jailer's power and the overall shape of the room, with the armor and the weapon, what if they have taken some inspiration from the Lich King, power-wise? What if some of the attacks potentially have some resemblance to the Lich King fight from back in Wrath of the Lich King. That could actually be really cool if they have some inspiration from it.
Magic. We need to be able to resist it, or better yet, fight it.
We know players have been waiting a long time for the return of tier sets, and as devs, we have too.
That only tells us one thing, and I've seen people be like, oh yeah, right, then why don't add it? That only tells us that all the decisions that have been done with armor, tier sets, with all that sort of stuff, has been top down. That means there's been people on the top sitting and deciding what to have in and what to not. Where, I'm gonna be honest, it sounds like the devs themselves have nothing they should have said. Which is not good. Like, I'm not saying that that I think the devs of World of Warcraft is the ones that will be able to save the game if they are allowed to do the decisions and not have the Bobby Kotick and those sit there and decide. But it might still give us a little bit more. Like, we're getting tier sets right now after how many years of constant push from the fan base. And like, domination sockets being a replacement, when I heard that I was like, oh wow. Just oof. So I would like to, of course, I'm way too small of a creator to get any contact with them, but we kind of need to know soon where the decisions come from. Is it the devs themselves, or is it the people higher up? Because if it's the people higher up, then explains why nothing the players say get listened to.
It's a great blend of progenitor magic, golds, and metals, along with those class-defining silhouettes. Wolves for shamans, pointy things for rogues. It's going to look amazing.
Our class and combat team was super excited to bring class sets back. This is something that felt really right for the story. We're in the final act of the Shadow.
I'm sorry, but that helmet just looks so stupid.
Saga. We're here, literally on the brink at eternity's end, and what better place to fully unleash the power of these classes? And I think players will really enjoy the return of those class sets just as much as the team enjoyed making them.
How do you make something that is mystical and magical and incomprehensible and yet understandable? I think we've done a good job of finding that line.
The team as a whole has been working so hard, and we are so excited to get this out for everyone.
We're gonna get new mounts, new pets.
A bit horrifying for me, but exciting for some, is the fact that, you know, some of the spider mounts can now fly. Who needs flying spiders? But that's also going to be a cool thing for people.
We have updates to professions, to soulbinds, to conduits. There's a new dancing minigame in Darkmoon Fair.
I'm a story guy, so I'm super geeked about watching players kind of piece together those little lore tidbits. That's what excites me as well.
I'm really looking forward to Season 3 of Mythic Plus. Tazavesh is getting split into 2 dungeons. If you're a raider, if you chase Keystone Master, if you're an achievement collector, there's something for everyone to do in this.
Shadowlands is like the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga, and our team is already hard at work on the next stories to come. Can't talk about them quite yet, but when the time is right, we're going to be really excited to share them with you.
Overall, it looks good. Like, even though I, for the most part, have been negative about everything so far, that's kind of who I am. But I will say the visuals, like, if the armors in-game looked as good as they do here, holy shit. Except for the helmet on that one. I'm sorry, but that just looks stupid. But like, if the armor sets looked as good as they do on the concept art, holy, that would be amazing. So, might just take a few pointers on that one. I don't want the video to be all too long, but new zone, Sereth Modis. This, I think, will be quite interesting for a lot of people. both casuals and a bit more hardcore. Like, experiencing a brand new zone is always interesting. The Enlightened, I'm not sure. Let's see. They no longer see the world in a transactional manner, but instead they treat their dwelling as a sacred place and hope to answer to a higher calling, a pursuit of knowledge. Find common ground with the Enlightened to succeed and defend Seraph Modis. I've seen some pictures of this deciphering thing, and I'll share view. I think it was with Preach, which was, if it ends up being like, okay, this gives at max 3 out of 3 gives 30% movement speed. This gives 2 out of 2 gives a shield that regens. Like, if that's the idea, then that's bad, because then we have yet another system on top of several systems, which is not fun. If it's more, you might easier find a treasure, then yeah, that would be better. Tier sets finally coming back, which is really good. That is, I really hope they just do pure tier sets. If not, holy shit, they're gonna get torn to shreds. One thing that I also thought about that Max mentioned is that they never had tier sets in raids, PvP, and Mythic dungeons, which I think is really cool. Each set comes with a powerful 2 and 4 piece set bonus and will complement your unique abilities. I think this is good. It gives more reason for people to play what they want to play. You have the raiders that don't like PvP or Mythic Plus. You have the PvPers that don't like raids or Mythic Plus. You have the Mythic Plus players that don't like raids and PvP. You have people like me. I love Mythic Plus with my friends. I like raiding. I despise PvP. So having to play PvP like in BFA and in the beginning of Shadowlands to get the best items was not fun. It destroyed a lot of the fun. So I think it's good that you can get armor sets from the different ones. Like, I mean to remember having heard that you get a new currency from PvP and Mythic Plus that you can use to create armor set pieces, which I think it's really, really good. One thing I will say, like, for later, next expansion, or maybe the expansion after that, is having tier sets, just having separate ones. You have a raiding tier set that works perfectly around raiding. You have a tier set from Mythic Plus that works around Mythic Plus. You have a PvP tier set that works around PvP. That will give more incentive for people to play what they want to play. If we all of a sudden have a Mythic Plus tier set, I will blast the living shit out of Mythic Plus, because holy shit, that's so cool. And you get powers that increase your own power in Mythic Plus. Awesome. As long as it plays around class and the class's power. It'll be really cool to see Tazavesh come into the dungeons. I've done Tazavesh twice. I actually really enjoy it. It's been really cool. New mounts and pets, cool. Upgrades to professions, awesome. And conduits, blah. New dancing game is nothing I'm gonna be doing, but for the more casual player base, that sounds cool. So let's just have a quick look at this. There's one point here that I saw from Max's video that I wanted to comment on. One of our major focuses in this major philosophical shift that the team is undertaking for not just returning players, these new systems introduced in Shadowlands, like Covenant Sanctums, the breadth of the content that we added. It's also for when you want to make a new character as a new main or a new role. We've been trying to take steps to remove barriers, good, anything that prevented you from getting to new content and experiencing the raids, etc. This is a big one. They've been trying to take steps to remove barriers. They already removed the cost for conduit switching, which was a big barrier. Having to, yeah, it being such a big problem, switching covenants was also a big problem. But the thing is, if they want people to have fun, why have those restrictions there in the first place? It doesn't make the decision way more at all. It's actually quite the opposite. It makes it even worse. It makes the RPG experience all that worse. It actually removes a lot of the RPG element to the game. Changes to the renown system and anima lets you catch up more quickly. I don't think there's any new systemic things that we're adding to Eternity's End, but we always look at the main story quest and slow and continuously consider things. People always ask, how much of our questing do I have to do to get into the new stuff? Yeah. That is understandable. Like, people want to play the new stuff. They don't want to quest for 6 hours before they can get into the new stuff. Instead, introduce them to the new stuff quickly and have them quest with the new stuff. That would be a lot better. We do want to make it easy for returning players to jump into the story. With Chains of Domination, we made it so that you didn't have to play through the whole Covenant campaign before you went to Korthia. Similarly, we'll let you jump into the action of Eternity's End to get to Seraph Mortis. There will be opportunities for you to get gear to get you to the baseline, where you can feel successful playing through the Seraph Mortis story content. Yeah, I understand why they unlocked it without having to play through the entire Covenant campaign. But I still don't agree with people still having to play the Covenant campaign. They said that earlier, they were gonna remove that if you had already completed it on another character. So why do we still have to go through it? That is not fun. That is not good game design. I will say the art department have been doing a smashing job. But the art department, I'm gonna be honest, have a tendency to always do a good job. Always. The art department is, in my opinion, one of the better departments there. All in all, like, I think it's gonna be a good patch. There are a lot of good stuff here. A brand new zone, which looks very interesting, and it sounds to sort of tie up some loose ends story-wise. The tier sets, amazing. I just hope we get some good color variations. The code deciphering might be interesting if done correctly. But the Enlightened, I will echo what Preach said, is most likely a new reputation grind. The Sepulchre is gonna be really cool, especially since they locked the final 3 bosses until Mythic opens, which I think could be a very, very, very good idea. As long as they don't have them on PTR. They can't have them on PTR. They should have more than enough experience at this point to know how to balance final 3 bosses. Like, they really should know that. They can tweak them while the world first raid is going on, but like, they soon have to stop with having everything tested on PTR. I might make a video on PTR later, actually, because I think they should just remove the entire PTR. Absolutely remove it. And hire more QA people. But I think it can be good. As long as we don't see any more systems, I think it might be really good. Because soon they have to realize that Systems of Warcraft is not fun to play. As a game that is based around systems, is not good game design. It's good system design, but not good game design. I'm gonna be watching the World First Race, without a doubt. I'm gonna jump into Season 3 of Mythic Plus, hopefully get into the raid. But like, there's still stuff that bothers me from a game design perspective, where all I see is systems upon systems upon systems, and that is not good game design. Possibly when we see more, I might have some more thoughts on it. But until then, I'm gonna be skeptically optimistic. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, put them in the comment section down below. And until next time, stay sweet, stay blessed, Dino out.